Okay, well, let's take a look at some Linux. So again, this is my Linux VM that's running here, and I'm going to drop to the terminal console, spelled with a K. Different terminal programs are used within different distributions of Linux, and even different shells are used within different versions of Linux, but most of them are standard these days. I guess what I'm trying to tell you is if you're working in Linux and some of the stuff you've learned and you try it and it doesn't quite work how you thought it would, don't let that disturb you. Don't let that make you feel like, oh, I really don't remember anything and I'm kind of stupid. Don't think that at all, because they may be using a different shell and you have to type things in a different format. That's why, if you haven't watched the absolute and relative reference, that's why that's so important, because if you understand where you are on the computer, you can visualize that, and you understand how you need to use a reference, how you need to lay that out, whether or not you need to spell out where the file is, or where the directory is, or whether you can say, go ahead and find it, it's right here. That's the most important thing, because your commands and the formats of those commands are going to change, and you can just look those up on the internet and find them. I don't want to add really anything to what they're saying, because I mean, we could add a ton of stuff. We go through this in 113 and 151 in some degree, especially in 151 where we do a Raspberry Pi build, and that's all Linux. So you get to use that at the command line quite a bit. But anyway, we could add a bunch of stuff, but it's beyond what this course is meant to do. They want to show you how to update things, how to change things, how to set up a drive, and they do really just kind of throw you in it, right? It's like, boom, there you go. So I wanted to show you just real briefly, what are we looking at here? So notice my prompt is different than it would be in Windows. In Windows, I would see something like C:\\. That's what I would see. But instead, I see this James at Linux-5LQW. And why we're seeing that is because the Linux-5LQW is actually the computer name. So it's very typical in Linux or Unix to list what you're logged in as. I'm logged in as James. And where am I at? James is at this computer, which is Linux-5LQW. Then you have the colon and tilde and greater than sign, and then you can finally type. So it's basically saying you're logged in as this user and you're on this computer. Now the tilde is a great little thing that I love very much. The tilde is the home directory. It's short. The little squiggly is called the tilde. It's the home directory. And so if I change directories, for instance, and we go to documents, and you do have to type caps if it's capped, right? And we'll list that. That's what's in the documents folder. There's a CMP 113 folder. There's a couple of JPEGs. And now if I tell it to list tilde, it'll list what was already listed before, which is the home directory. And you can actually add that into commands. So for instance, I could tell it to period would take me back one, but I could use tilde and it'll take me back to the home directory. Let's see how that works. It's pretty nice. So I could go cd period, and now I'm all the way back to the home directory, right, where everybody's users are. There's only me. And so I'll go further back, and now I'm in the root directory. And so you see all this different stuff. And now I can say, hey, can you change directory to tilde? And boom, I'm right back to the home directory. So you can use that tilde in the command. You can actually say copy, move, make directory, remove directory, and use that tilde as part of it as a shorthand. Anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to show you. I do like the fact that it's color-coded, so directories are certain colors and files are certain colors. But again, it really depends on the Linux distribution you're in. But this is mostly standard, what you're seeing here. All right, well, I've given you a lot of resources that are out there for this. And so if you need to look up more Linux stuff, or you want to, it's there. And of course, if you want some information from me, all you got to do is ask. So please do.